I thank you all for coming out here on a Sunday morning to discuss a topic that is so dear and so cherished to us women, and I think it's a wonderful statement for our community that so many of us came out here on a hot Sunday morning to listen and to hear about this topic of tzniut. I know on the flyers the title was Modesty, shmodesty. Who cares as long as I look good? We're going to try to live up to that title, and what we're going to try to do today is to come to a point of who cares? I care. I care very deeply. Today, in the first part of the three-part lecture series, we're going to be focusing mainly on the why. You know, I always like to start at the beginning. So if we're going to discuss this question of modesty for a woman, we're going to go way back to the beginning of time, as God is about to create the first woman. And we're going to look at this episode of God creating the first woman. We're going to go into the elevator. We're going to press the down button. We're going to go down beneath street level. And we're going to try to look at this moment of God creating the first woman from way beneath street level. We're going to look at it from a very deep place. So I invite you all to please step into the elevator. We're pressing the down button and we're going down. God is about to create the first woman, and firsts are very important because they set the tone for everything and they lay down the purpose for everything. Source number 1. Rabbi Yoshua de Sachnin b'shem Rabbi Levi Omer, Vayiven ktiv. Before God is about to even create woman, before he's about to create her, the pasuk says Vayiven. Now simply it means he built her. But Vayiven also means something else. Vayiven, hevin, lehavin. Lehavin says the first line Bereshit Rabbah, hitbonen. Hitbonen. Hashem thought about. Hashem contemplated. Hashem thought about how to create a woman. To create a woman is no simple thing, because the stuff from which I'm going to create her is really going to characterize what she's going to be about, and is going to touch upon what her mission, what her purpose in life is. Just like our sages tell us, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Your final action should be preceded by forethought. Before you do something, ma'aseh, a deed, sof ma'aseh, b'machshava tchila. First think about it, and then you could put it into action. So before Hashem creates womankind, sof ma'aseh, b'machshava tchila. This requires a tremendous amount of thought. What should I create her from? What is the woman going to be created from? What's the big deal? Just make her from something, a nice piece of muscle or something, a nice piece of bone. No. What I'm going to create her from is going to affect what her purpose in life is. So the commentaries take us behind the scenes, behind the curtains, into Hashem's thought process as to what was going on in God's mind as he's about to create the first woman. First line, middle of the first line. Again, the first page of your booklet is your last page, and we are that which is called source number 1. Hitbonen ma'ayin livra'ata. Hashem is contemplating, where should I create her from? So now, Hashem is looking at Adam's body, because he's going to create her from Adam. So, Hashem goes through all the possible choices. Amar, lo evra ota min harosh. Maybe I should create the woman from Adam's head. A head, is the seat of all intellect. I'll take a nice piece of skull, and I'll create Chava from the head. Hashem said, no, bad idea. Why not? She'll be very intelligent. No, there's a danger there. The danger is if I create her from the head, she's going to be affected by the head, and then maybe she will be walking. What is the name of that character trait when you always have your head up high? She'll be arrogant. Scratch, no good. I'm not going to create her from the head. Lots of good things can come from the head. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. Arrogance might be woven into her personality. Okay, so what's next? So how about the eye? You know, the eyes are the window to the soul. Maybe I'll create womankind from the eye. And then she will be intuitive, and then she will always be able to see beneath the surface. The eye. No, says Hashem. A bad idea. Sakranit, because then maybe she won't be able to take her eyes off anything, and she'll be so sakranit, she'll be so curious, and she'll need to be into everything. Like, you know, in English they say, you know, somebody who sticks her nose into everybody's business. So if you were to take that colloquially, somebody who has her eyes on everything. Hashem said, an eye is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. It's too dangerous. I'm not going to create it from the eye. We see that Hashem is really putting a lot of thought into this. Okay, great, let's move down. How about the ear? A nice soft piece of cartilage maybe. Right, maybe I'll create her from the ear. What a wonderful thing. She'll always lend a listening ear. No, not a good idea. She's always going to want to know all the scoop and all the gossip and everything that's going to go on. It's a very dangerous thing. You can't create her from the ear. So we're not there yet. What's left? Okay, let's go down in the human body. What about the mouth? That's incredible. She's going to be the one to build the bridges of communication with her family members. The mouth will create her from the mouth. That's really going to characterize what she's all about. It's a wonderful thing to do. No, it's too dangerous. It's much too dangerous. Because if she misuses the power of the mouth, maybe she's going to be a dabranit. Maybe she can't stop talking. Maybe she's going to just talk nonsense. Maybe, God forbid, you can misuse the power of speech. It's such a potent thing. So I'm not going to create her from the mouth. In other words, I'm looking for something that's going to characterize her essence, and something that is going to channel her on the path that I want her to be on. What's the path? What's the path? Well, I know what it is, but I need to find it on the body part. It's not the eye, and it's not the head, and it's not the ear, and it's not the mouth. What is it? What is it? Well, he's not done. The heart. Right? What is the most important body part? Of course, the heart. Without the heart, no. V'lo min halev. I know you were getting excited, some of you. Like, yep, that's us. Lo min halev. I'm not going to create the woman from the heart. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. What can go wrong? The heart, right? The human heart is what pumps life force into everything. Shelo tehe kantanit. If you misuse the heart represents emotions and feelings. If you misuse this tremendous power of emotion and feelings, it can be mischanneled into being jealous. Right? It's like somebody who has a jealous heart. It's too dangerous. It's not quite what I want. Of course she's going to have heart, and of course she's going to have head, and of course she's going to have eyes, and of course she's going to have ears. But it's not what I'm looking for to create womankind. I'm looking for something that's going to characterize her essence, her mission, her purpose. And the heart is just not what I'm looking for. Okay, good. Let's go further down on the body. The hands. The hands. She'll be a go-getter. She'll be... mover and shaker. She'll get stuff done. Maybe we should create her from the hands. No. V'lo min hayad. V'lo min hayad. It's not what I'm looking for. Shelo tehe mashmeshanit. Mashmeshanit is someone she has to have her hands on everything. Possessive. Not a good thing. You can misuse the power of the hand. Hands are important. Look, we have two of them. I know a woman, she only has one hand. I don't know how she manages it. Right? I have two hands I could barely manage. She has one hand. Hands are very important, but that doesn't characterize the mission of a woman. The mission of a woman, we don't know what it is yet. We're about to find out. But Hashem is looking for something on the human body that's going to characterize her mission. Lo min hayad. The yad is not it. The hand is not it. Okay, what's left? How about the legs? Maybe I'll create her from a leg. She'll be active and she'll always be up and about. Women have lots of things to do. Maybe they should have the strength of the foot. She'll always be up and about, doing and going and moving. No, too dangerous. V'lo min haregel. I'm not going to create a woman from the foot. Shelo tehe parsanit. Parsanit is someone who takes very arrogant footsteps. the legs, right, which like your gait, the way that you walk, the way that you carry yourself, she might carry herself too high. The power of the foot is tremendous, but if misused, it can be mischanneled, and you could carry yourself in an arrogant manner. No, it's too dangerous. For her special mission, this is it's not safe, it's not good. I need something even better. All right, God, we've been through most of the human body. What's left? Hashem says, I'm looking for something that is going to zoom in on her raison d'être, her reason for being, her reason for living. And finally, Hashem found the body part that he was looking for. Ela, I'm going to create her. Mimakom, from a place in the body, shehu tsanua ba'adam, that is the most covered, the most private place on a body. Afilu b'sha'ah she'adam omed arum, even when you're naked, even when you're completely unclothed, oto hamakom mechuseh, that part is covered. And what is that part? What does the Torah say? The Torah says that Hashem took a tzela, tzadi lamed ayin, a tzela. Now, a tzela is translated as a rib. A rib. That's not so glamorous, right? We were hoping, like a liver or a spleen, something more glamorous. A rib, a rib. Now tell me, what is the purpose of a rib? What do ribs do? They don't get the heart pumping. They don't keep the blood flowing. They don't keep your brain functioning. What's a rib? What does a rib do? It protects. What does it protect?
The lungs.
What do we? The lungs. What else? The heart. What do we call those body parts? The lungs, the heart. We call those the vital organs. So let's do this again because you just hit the punchline. What is the purpose of a tzela? It protects the vital. I need one more adjective. These organs, they're called the vital organs. They're also called what?
Internal.
The internal organs. Great. See, you all know it. The rib has a function. And the function of a rib is that it protects the vital internal organs. Presto. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a body part. The mission of this body part is to protect. To protect what? The most important things which need to be protected. What? Your nose? No, a nose is important, but the vital organs, the internal organs. Because the role of a woman, as we now see from this thought process, which thankfully we have been made privy to, that the role of a woman, just like the rib from which she was taken, and not the hand and not the leg and not even the heart and not the ears and not the eyes and not the head, we went through it all, is to protect everything which is in the realm of the internal, which is in the realm of the inside. In our world, we have two realms. There's all that is external, and the external needs its special protector as well. There's the external, what we sometimes call the big bad world out there, and then there is the internal. What's the internal? The internal is lots of different things. The internal is relationships. Relationships between family members, relationships between spouse, relationships between parents and children, relationships between myself and the Jewish community, relationships between myself and Hashem, between myself and God. That needs to be nurtured, cultivated, developed, beautified, and protected. Who's going to be the one to do it? Please, ladies, come over on this side. We have plenty of seats over here. Please, we have seats, we have source sheets. Please come over here. We need to have a special protector of all that which is internal. What about the external? There's a whole big bad world out there. Somebody's got to go out there and conquer that and elevate that and make that holy, no? Yeah. We have somebody for that too, right? That's a separate class, right? That's the masculine energy. That's the masculine energy. But I need somebody whose special project it's going to be to protect, to nurture, and to cultivate all that which takes place in the internal realm. Because in life, that is which is vital. That's what keeps the world pulsating. That's what keeps the world going. So I need somebody who's going to be my special representative, my special protector of all things which are internal. The rib is what symbolizes that, and that, Chava, is what I'm going to create you from. And so here's Hashem. Now, we still have a peek into what happened that day when Hashem was creating Chava, and the story is not over. As Hashem is creating Chava from this rib, and Hashem has this grand mission in mind for her to protect everything which is internal, and we're going to elaborate on this a bit more. Al kol ever ve'ever shehaya boreh, middle of source number 1, after the first bracket. For each body part that he created in Chava, as he's creating Chava, as he's creating the first woman, and as he is forming and fashioning each body part, look at this desperate pleading plea which Hashem is talking. He's not talking to anybody. He's talking to himself because she isn't fully formed yet. Al kol ever ve'ever shehaya boreh, for every body part and body part that he fashioned on her body. Haya omer la, Hashem pleaded with her, Tehei ishat tznu'ah, Tehei ishat tznu'ah, please, I plead with you, be a woman. I'm going to define it this way, who defines herself internally. Be a woman who is tznu'ah. Literally, be a woman who is modest. But now, after what we have said, I'm going to say it like this. Please, tehei ishat tznu'ah, be a woman who defines yourself internally. Please, be a woman who guards the internal. Please be a woman who nurtures the internal. Please be a woman who develops all that which is internal. I need you. What's the big deal, God? You don't understand. I need you. For what? Let somebody else develop that which is internal. I have other things to do. You don't understand. Everything depends on you being an ishat tznu'ah. Ma koreh? So I got to tell you something. I told you we're going to go into the elevator and we're going to go way down beneath street level, deep, 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 and look at the deepest issues. I took you to day number 6 of creation when Hashem created Chava. Now I'm going to take you to day number 1 of creation. Hashem desperately needs somebody to guard and protect and nurture all that which is internal because when God first created the world, source number 2, there's one thing that Hashem wanted and one thing only. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Source number 2. B'sha'a shebara Kadosh Baruch Hu ha'olam. So now I'm taking you back to day number 1. When Hashem created the world, hitaveh, there's one thing he desired. What? Sheyeh lo dira b'tachtonim, to move out of heaven and into earth. Heaven is a nice place. I'm not interested. I'm looking for a new place. Sheyeh lo dira, dira in modern Hebrew is an apartment. Hashem wants a dwelling place, b'tachtonim, those that live down here below. Hashem says, I'm not interested in being up here in heaven. Don't lock me up here. I want to move out of heaven and into earth. That is Hashem's greatest desire. So what's the problem? Move out of heaven and into earth. I need a real estate agent. Great. Now, what do I need in order to move out of heaven and into earth? See, here's the problem. Problem is that Hashem is going to need to be welcomed into earth, and Hashem is going to need a place that is going to allow him to dwell on earth. Now Hashem, who is the most I would like to say spiritual, but it's not a good way to describe God. How can we describe God? Hashem is going to feel welcome if there is spirituality and internality which is guarded and protected, which is going to allow him to come into the world. Hashem needs to come down into a place where he is welcome, where Hashem's blessing, where Hashem's presence, where his indwelling is going to be allowed. So what kind of place is that? What kind of place? What is the precondition of Hashem coming down into the world? So last night, between 12 and 1 a.m., I looked something up and I was really floored. Hashem wants to move out of heaven and into earth. What do we call that dwelling place where for many, many years God really was among us in a way that without this, right, that's the Beit HaMikdash, the Mishkan, right. So when Hashem wants to move out of heaven and into earth, right, ideally we have a Mishkan, we have the Beit HaMikdash, and when we start building the Mishkan in Parshat Vayakel, something unbelievable happened. I almost fell off my chair when I saw it last night. You would think, what's the first thing we should build for God? What is the most lofty thing in the Mishkan? What is the most lofty vessel in the tabernacle? What would that be? And what is it in the Holy of Holies that from there God's presence emanates? The Ark. You would think the first thing God would want us to build in the Mishkan is the Ark, right? I want to be with you. I want to be among you. I want to dwell with you. I want to move out of heaven already and into earth. You would think the Ark is the first thing. No, that's not what. In fact, the Ark is later on the list. The first thing, you want me? I need curtains. How many? 10. 10? Yeah. Lots and lots of curtains. They're called Yeriot in Parshat Vayakel. The first thing that they build, that they construct, are the curtains. Because Hashem, the precondition of Hashem moving out of heaven and into earth is internality, is modesty. So Hashem says, make the Yeriot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 28 by 4. That's the size. 28 4 cubits by 4 cubits. I want 10 of them. Make me a curtain and a curtain and a curtain and a curtain and a curtain. I'll be there. That is the precondition of having Hashem move out of heaven and into earth. The ark comes later. After the curtain comes the beams. I'm not going to talk about the beams. The beams is a whole separate topic unto itself, why the beams had to come before the ark. And only then the ark. But first, you want me? Make those curtains. Because if you want me, if you want my blessings, then there's a glue that keeps me down here. And that glue is tzniut. The glue is tzniut. Modesty, internality. Why? Because if you want me to dwell with you, right? Remember we said there's the internal and there's the external. Now, God in the external world is a separate question, is a separate issue. For that we need masculine energy, and that's a topic for another day. But the feminine energy, the one who knows how to guard and protect and nurture and cultivate all that which is in the realm of the internal, that is what Hashem needs in order to move out of heaven and into earth. In Hallel, there's a pasuk that we say, Hashamayim shamayim laHashem, v'ha'aretz natan livnei Adam. The heaven belongs to God, and the earth, that belongs to mankind. But there's another pasuk in chapter 24 of Tehillim, which says, LaHashem ha'aretz umlo'ah. The land is God's. In other words, one pasuk tells us Hashem's domain is in heaven, and the other pasuk tells us the land is God's. Ideally, Hashem does not want to be in heaven. Ideally, Hashem wants to be on earth. But we need someone to, so to speak, climb the mountain and to bring Hashem from heaven unto earth. And that is Hashem's main dwelling place. Now, just in case you don't believe me, just in case you... Mrs. Yitzhak, Hashem belongs in heaven. That's what they taught us from the beginning of time. Why are you telling us Hashem belongs on earth? Say it very clearly. Source number 3. 3 words. Ikar hashchina batachtonim. The essence of Hashem's presence is down here on earth. The essence of Hashem's dwelling place is down here. Hashem wants to be down here. He has no interest in being up there. Hashem wants to be down here with us. But there's something that is necessary in order for that to take place. There's something that is necessary to bring that blessing, to bring Hashem down to earth. And that is someone who can guard, someone who can allow for that to come in. And that is where tzniut comes in. So when Hashem creates Chava, and when he begs with her and pleads with her, like it said in source number 1, Teheh isha tznu'ah, please be a woman who defines herself internally. It's not just about, cover up. It's about, I'm at stake, says God. My presence in the physical world is at stake. Because if you don't do it, if you don't live like an ishat snu'ah and carry yourself like an ishat snu'ah, it's not just about you, it's about me. This world that I'm creating, this world which I'm creating, I want to be part of it. But you hold the key in your hand to let me in. And you can lock me out. And if you don't live your life, if you don't carry yourself as an ishat snu'ah, You're locking me out. It's not just about us. It's not just about me. It's about God. Hashem wants to be down here with us. And we hold the key in our hand. Tzniut is that key. And we saw when Hashem really has his Mishkan, the first thing he says, forget the ark for now. Forget the altar and the korbanot and the shulchan and the menorah. Leave all that for the end. The first thing I want you to make are those curtains, because that's the precondition. That's the precondition. Which is why, in source number 4, the Gemara tells us, make no mistake. Make no mistake. It's the woman who holds that key in her hand. Amar Rabbi Tanchum, Amar Rabbi Chanilai, Kol Adam she'ein lo isha. And so, a man who is not yet married, make no mistake, says the Gemara, not only sharui belo simcha, he has not achieved complete happiness, belo bracha. He doesn't have bracha. Why not? A single man would say, of course I have bracha. You have bracha, of course. You have bracha. But not the kind of bracha you could have. Why? Because you don't have a partner who holds in her key the power to bring Hashem into your home. Well, I can bring Hashem into my home, says the man. Of course you can bring Hashem into your home. There are no absolutes. We are not saying that a man doesn't have this power of internality and to guard that which is internal. Everybody does. Everybody does. But the special caretaker of this is the woman. As we saw in source number 1, she is, for something so grand as bringing Hashem into earth, we can't just leave that up to coincidence. Well, hopefully there'll be somebody who'll bring me down on earth. No. I need to create a special creature, a special someone whose primary job is going to be just that, who's going to bring the spiritual down into this world and allow for it to be here. So yes, of course, a man absolutely has within himself the power to guard and to protect and to nurture and to develop all that which is internal. There's nothing absolutes that has only masculine or only feminine energy. Everybody has everything, but the special caretaker of it is womankind. And so a man who is not yet married does not have complete bracha, because the key is in the hands of the woman. Source number 5, make it even sharper. Amar Rabbi Yitzhak. Ein habracha metzuya ela bedavar hasamui min ha'ayin. Bracha, Hashem's presence, Hashem's blessings, Hashem's bracha. The ein habracha metzuya. The bracha, Hashem's presence does not manifest itself anywhere unless that thing is samui min ha'ayin. Samui min ha'ayin means concealed from the eye. There is a precondition for having Hashem in my life, for having the bracha in my life. Now I know I'm using Hashem's presence and the word bracha interchangeably. I'll talk about that in a moment. The precondition for having bracha in my house, for having Hashem's presence in my house it has to be samui min ha'ayin. Samui min ha'ayin means that which is concealed from the eye. Concealment is the glue that is going to keep God in my house. Exposure is the best way to oust Hashem from my house. Ein habracha metzuya ela bedavar shesamui min ha'ayin. The precondition for having bracha, for having Hashem's presence in my home is concealment. Hashem loves concealment. Who is the most concealed one in the world? Hashem, right? Hashem. There's a lot to be said for hiddenness. There's a lot to be said for concealment. The one who is the most concealed in the world, right, is Hashem. And He's the one who can do everything for us. Why do I use interchangeably Hashem's presence and the word bracha? I'm going to spend just a moment on this. It's an important point. When we say blessing doesn't come into the house, and I keep on translating that as Hashem's presence is not going to come into your house, right? So you should ask, why are you saying that bracha means Hashem's presence? So I'll point it to you like this. When you raise your cup of water and say, Baruch atah Hashem, Baruch. 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 What's a Baruch? Who's Baruch? Hashem is not Baruch. Why are you saying Baruch? So in the art scroll, it will translate, blessed art thou. Blessed art thou. Blessed art thou. Thank you. What does Baruch atah Hashem mean? Blessed art thou. It really doesn't mean blessed art thou. What is Baruch atah Hashem? God? Yeah. You're Baruch. No, I'm not. I'm God. What's Baruch? Who's Baruch? What's Baruch? Bet reish chaf, right? The root for bracha comes up in other places too. There's a part of your knee. I'm sorry, I gave it away. What was I going to say? There's a part of your body that's called. There's a part of your body, right, that has the same three letters. Bet reish chaf. Which part of your body is bet reish chaf? Your berech. What part of your body is that? Your knee. She's talking about ribs. She's talking about knees. What's she talking about? Your knee. Your knee is your berech. So Baruch, right? Blessing. Blessed art thou. Berech. Your knees. What does knees have to do with blessings? And it's summer. It's the season of swimming pools. How do we say swimming pool? Or anything that's pooled together? Brecha. A brecha. A brecha. What is a brecha? A brecha is a container that contains in it the water, the good stuff, right? The good stuff is in that pool. The pool which contains all the good stuff. Your knee is an important part of the body. Any of us who have knee issues will tell you that if your knee is not working well, you can't stand up, right? If your knee is not working well, so you say, I buckled, right? My knee's buckled. Your knee carries the weight of your body more so than other parts of your body. Your knee, if your back isn't too great, you could still walk like this, right? You could still walk like this. But if your knees aren't working, you're going to buckle at your knees. The berech is that which contains, that which holds all the good stuff. Your knee carries the weight of your body. Your brecha, your swimming pool, contains all that water. Okay, so why is God called a knee and why is God called a swimming pool? Hashem, Baruch, what I'm saying is, you got the goods. That's what I'm saying. You got the goods. You're Baruch. You're the source of everything. Like my knee that holds me up. Like the swimming pool which has all the water in it. You are Baruch. You're the source of everything. You got it all. You are the source of, you got all the goods. So when I lift up this cup and I say, Baruch, I'm not saying l'chaim to God. What I'm saying is, you're the source of everything. I make no mistake. I know where all my things come from. Baruch atah. You're the swimming pool, God. You contain everything. You're the one who keeps it coming. You're the one who keeps on giving it out to me. So when I say, when the sources tell us, there is no bracha. There is no bracha, meaning what? The source of all blessing, okay, the source of all blessing, namely God, is not going to be giving to us, is not going to be present with us unless the precondition is there. And the precondition is davar shesamui min ha'ain, concealment. Concealment is the glue which keeps the bracha there and which prevents it from slipping between my fingers. You know, sometimes I got blessing. I know you got blessing, but it's you want it to stay. You don't want it to slip from between your fingers. Look, I'm holding it. I know, but 10 minutes later it could slip from between your fingers. You want it to come down and you want it to stay. You don't want it to slip away. The precondition for that is concealment. Davar shesamui min ha'ain. And therefore, tell us the rabbis in the Gemara, Masechet Baba Metzia, source number 6. The Gemara turns its attention to anyone who is married. Le'olam yeh adam zahir bichvod ishto. You should be very, very scrupulous in the way that you honor your wife. Says the Gemara, right, to mankind, le'olam, you should always, no matter what the situation, you should always, yeh adam zahir, be very, very careful and diligent and scrupulous, bekavod ishto, in the way you honor your wife and the way you respect your wife. Why? Not because she irons the clothes, not because she, made the meal or whatever she happens to be doing in her busy life. No. Why should you honor her? Not because she does so many wonderful chasadim for you, not because she does so many wonderful acts of kindness. No. That's, of course, for that she deserves a separate thank you. But you should honor her. שאין הברכה מצויה בתוך ביתו של אדם אלא בשביל אשתו. What do you think brought the blessing into your house? Me? No, your wife. Oh, yeah? Yeah. It's because of your wife that the blessing came into the house. Well, I don't bring blessing into the house. You do. You also bring blessing into the house. But she's the one who holds the key. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Right? She's the one who holds the key. Why her? Because concealment, tzniut, is her project. What about me? Yeah. You also have a part of it. But she's the special caretaker of tzniut. She holds the key of tzniut in her hand. Why her? Because I entrusted her with it. I needed someone. And for them, that would be their purpose in life, in everything that she will go on doing. She's the one, so be very careful on how you honor and respect her, Sat Hashem. It's because of her that I'm in your house. It's because of her that I moved out of heaven and into earth. So you have a lot to thank her for. And therefore, in source number 7, Tanu Rabbanan, האוהב את אשתו כגופו ומכבדה יותר מגופו. Therefore, source number 7 says the Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, you should love your wife at least as much as you love yourself, but you should respect her and you should honor her even more than you should honor yourself. You should respect your wife. You should honor her more than the honor that you would give yourself. Why? Because make no mistake, she's the one who's bringing God into your house, and for that you need to give her everlasting respect more than you would give yourself, because what she can do for you is more than what you're able to do for yourself, because you don't have that key on your keychain. She has that key on her keychain, because concealment, tzniut, is her specialty. Source number 8. The Maharal says it as follows. And you're going to see our key words being used again and again here. Watch this. Says the Maharal, source number 8. כי הצניעות מורה על הברכה. צניעות is always an indicator of bracha. Now you know what bracha means. It doesn't just mean blessing. Bracha now means bringing the source of everything, bringing Baruch, bringing the one who has everything down here, having that blessing not just trickle but flow into my home, and having Hashem's presence himself into my home. הצניעות מורה על הברכה. Concealment, privacy, tzniut, is an indicator of bracha. שכל עניין הברכה צנוע ונסתר. Because bracha requires tzniut, concealment, hiddenness, and privacy. It requires it. כי הדברים הפחותים אין מדרגתם פנימי. Things which are unimportant, things which are pachot, of lesser value, ein madrigatam pnimi. They are not internal. They don't touch the heart of the matter. They don't touch the essentialness. They don't touch essence. Ve'einam re'uyim lebracha. And so they're not worthy of blessings. I'm going to say that again. Things which are ki advarim hapchutim, anything which is non-essential, anything which is of lesser value, ein madrigatam pnimi. It's not internal. It doesn't touch the heart of the matter. It's not the main thing. ואינם ראויים לברכה, and is not worthy of bracha, of blessing. אבל דברים אשר הם עליונים במעלה, but all those things which are lofty, which are essential, which are elyon, which are elevated and important and essential and lofty, הם פנימיים. The important things are the internal things. The real things, the important things, the essential things are the internal things, not the external things. V'hem reuyim lebracha. Those things are worthy of blessings, of Hashem attaching himself to them. Mitzat shem pnimiyim, because they're internal. Nistarim, concealed. וכבר יתבאר כי זה הצניעות וההסתר מורה עליו מעלה. And so, anything which is tsanua, which is concealed, which is hidden, which is private, is an indicator of loftiness. וכל ברכה בהסתר ובצניעות. And bracha always comes down in things that are concealed and hidden. והפך זה, And the opposite of that, gilui, exposure. Moreh al shiflut is an indicator of lesser things, less important things. V'chisron, lacking, chaser, lacking, something is lacking. Ve'ein bracha bo, and there's no blessing in that. Why can't there be blessing in something which is lacking? Very simple. If I were to take my finger, if I was in a classroom, I would do it because I have a sink in front of me in my classroom. But I'm here, I'm not going to do it. In school, I do this. If I were to poke a hole in this cup, it's full of water. If I were to poke a hole in this brecha, right? This is my brecha. This is my little pool right here. If I were to poke a hole in this cup, something's missing. What happens to all the brecha? What happens to all the water in the pool? It will spill out. So, therefore says the Maharal, exposure, the opposite of tzniut, gilui, exposure, moreh al shiflut v'chisaron, is indicative of something is lacking, something is missing, something is lacking, is not there, is complete. Boop! Something is lacking in my pool. All the bracha is going to flow away, is going to be gone. So if I want to know, how do I contain the baruch, the bracha, the pool, from the source of all blessings, from the baruch atah? How do I contain it in my house? Don't make sure nothing's lacking. Make sure that the things are not exposed. What things should not be exposed? That's next class. That's next class, where we will look at the requirements of what needs to be concealed, what is allowed to be exposed, when is allowed to be exposed, when is not allowed to be exposed. That's next class. Now, right, we're laying the groundwork. Next week we will look at the requirements. But as the Maharal says, if there is a chisaron, if there's a lack, en bracha, there's no blessing. Now you understand why. If your cup is missing, it can't contain. If there's something about me which is supposed to be concealed, and I expose it, says the Maharal, you're missing something. Don't do it. Don't expose it. Why not? Why not? Because you're going to be a missing brecha, you're going to be a missing pool. So what? So what? The bracha is going to flow away. Oh, I don't want that. Right. Better keep it under cover. Better conceal it, right? Because otherwise, there's no bracha. Now, I want to make one thing very, very clear. The Maharal has just said something very potent. He spoke about the importance of all of those things which are under concealment, and how those things which are exposed, the things which are left external, okay, are indicative of something lacking. I want to make something very clear. Unlike most religions in the world, in Torah Judaism, we have no problem with externals. We don't mind externals. We love externals. Make up your mind. It's like, do we like externals or do we not like externals? The Maharal just said those things which are external are of shafel, are of lesser value. We don't mind externals. We love externals. Bring them on. It's just that, as Rabbi Lawrence Kalman from Israel notes, we are sober enough to understand that externals, if they're brought out too early in the relationship, they're blinding. And I can't get past the external to see what the Maharal calls the things which are essential, the things which are real. I'm going to say that again. We have no problem with externals. We love externals. We are sober enough to know that something about the nature of externals, and that is that things which are external are blinding. And if they are brought out too early, and I'll give some examples, too early in a relationship before a really solid commitment has been made, then it's going to be hard to get past them. I'll give you one or two examples. Something really external. Something external that some people sometimes like to flash about themselves is prestige, money, status. Once I met somebody, and I said, hi. She saw that I was a new face. She said, oh, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I am the chair of the department of so-and-so at the following institution. Gulp. Hi, my name is Kochava Yitzhak. I'm a shoe size 9.5. Now, why did she say this external? It's external about her. It's very external. Even if you're not chair of this and this particular department and that particular institution, wherever it was in New York, that's external about you. That's not important about you. But she flashed something external about herself. It was like really, it was really blinding. Keep that in mind. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I'll give you an example of something else. There was once this girl who was studying in Israel, and she was one of those people who had this massively muscular brain. She had an IQ that was through the roof. She was smart. She was a genius. She was brilliant. At a party, she had a photographic memory. And at a party, the fun thing to do would be to open up a book to a random page, have her look at it for 30 seconds. She would memorize it, and then she would kind of, regurgitate it. She was so brilliantly smart. She also confessed that when she was in high school, she had no friends. You would think, someone so smart and intelligent, how could she have no friends? So she confessed that with her massively muscular IQ, people were so intimidated by her that they couldn't get past her brain and get to know that she's a real person with dreams and hopes and thoughts and feelings who can relate and connect to things other than, her IQ. Nobody could get past that. And she was in the dating scene, and she started to have issues in the dating scene because she couldn't get past a first date. And she was told by somebody very smart, on your first date, don't let on that your IQ is, what's the highest IQ? What's the highest IQ? Anybody into IQ?
140, they said.
I think it's 220. They told her, don't let on that you're 220, because it's blinding. You've been dating for years and nobody could ever get, for the first 3 dates, don't pretend you're stupid. 180. Smart, 180. On the third day, you can let on. Why? Because brains is an example of something that's external. You are not your brain. If you, God forbid, would forget everything you know, you would still be you. A person who is real, who has what to offer. God forbid, the Torah isn't telling anybody, play dumb. No. But with such a muscular brain, it's so blinding, it's so intimidating. So drop a blanket over it for 2 or 3 days until you have a strong enough commitment from the other side. And depending on how precious the external is, that'll depend on how long you leave it under the blanket. But drop a blanket over it just for a few days until you have a strong enough commitment and the person was able to make contact with who you are internally, who you really essentially are. And then, you can lay it on. Brains is such an example. I give you another example. It's a sillier example, but Rabbi Kalman mentioned this example to us in the same theme. There's this guy, funniest man you ever met. You meet him 30 seconds later, you're on the floor. You have to have extra undergarments. You're going to be laughing so hard. It's so funny. He's got you laughing in the aisles. But you know what? This man was also a wonderful person with a wonderful personality, but nobody ever got to know him. And you'd think that somebody so funny, he should already have found nothing. He couldn't get on with life because nobody could get past his sense of humor. So it was suggested to him, drop a blanket over it. And don't let on, you're funny. You're oozing humor. You're not going to be, but just for the first couple of times, don't make 35 jokes a minute, make 15. Okay. In other words, you're not your sense of humor. Sense of humor is something external about you. It's not who you are essentially. It's not who you are. It's something external. Now, let's be frank. Sense of humor is not something so precious. So you don't have to wait so long until you could take the blanket off and share that with the world, right? It's depending on how precious the external thing is, you want to wait until you get a strong enough commitment from the other side until you could lay it on, right? So sense of humor, it's not so precious. Okay? Brains is an example. Sense of humor is an example. Beauty is another example of something external. So halakha tells us, drop a blanket over it. And because beauty is a very, very precious external. Remember I told you we have no problems, unlike most religions in the world, right? Where the most loftiest thing is to remain celibate your whole life, and then you go and you have illegitimate relations with all the little boys in your congregation, right? No, we believe that externality, it's wonderful and it's beautiful, but depending on the preciousness of the external, you want to drop a blanket over it, you want to keep it undercover until you have gotten a commitment from the other side, and then you can bring it out. So halakha tells us, drop a blanket over it, because otherwise externals are blinding, and the other person will be blinded by the bouncing everything that is presented in front of them, and they will not be able to get to know you, who you really are. Now, because beauty is such a precious external, it's going to take a lot more before the blanket, right, can come off. And then only under the right time and the right circumstances with the right right? So while this much is beautiful, this much is already sexy. And when we're there, sexy is blinding. And then nobody can get past that. So, drop a blanket over it, and because it's such a precious external, you want to keep the blanket over that, right, until the commitment is absolute and 100%, and then under the right time, under the right circumstances. So one thing that we've said so far about the nature of externals is that externals are blinding. And so the Torah says we love them, keep them undercover. Depending on how precious they are, you'll have to wait a certain amount of time before you could bring them on. The next rule about externals is that externals are generic. Everybody's got them. Did you see her ears? Oh, you never saw such ears. These ears, she got the curve, the cartilage. You never saw such ears. Okay. After a few weeks, you get bored of her ears and you find yourself somebody else who has nicer ears. Externals are generic. Everybody has them. So what? So what? If I value you for something external about you, it's just a matter of time before I could find somebody who has the same set of ears. And then presto. But if I value you for who you are essentially, okay, there will never be another you. There is nobody that has the same spiritual makeup as you, spiritual, emotional, psychological, and physical makeup as you. There's never going to be another you. The only people who you think are like so much alike are the people who you don't know well enough yet. Once you really get to know them, you'll see they are a world unto themselves. And so, if I value you for something external about you, externals are generic. Everybody's got them. It's just a matter of time before I find somebody else who has the same thing. But if I value you for what you are essentially, right, what the Maral calls hadvarim asher hem elyonim, the lofty things, hem pnimiyim, the internal things, re'uyim lebracha, those things which are worthy of bringing Hashem into my house. Oh, you hit upon it. You hit upon $1 million value. You hit upon the real thing to value. Good. That's something that you can value. So, if externals are blinding, and if externals are like really generic, then why is it that so often, like the chairperson of that department of this particular fancy institution in New York introduced herself to me, why do people always flash external things about themselves? Why is it that people very often are like scared to leave their externals at home or undercover and need to flash external things about themselves? Why? Why? Well, for many reasons. One reason which Rabbi Kalman, who is the one who expressed these thoughts as follows, one possible reason why people sometimes feel like they can't go out of the house without their externals is because it's possible that they are scared and that they are frightened that maybe you won't like me very much without my externals. If you really were to get to know the essential me, I don't know if you'd like me very much. So just keep watching the bouncing show, keep watching my fancy pen, keep watching my, whatever, a little bit of cleavage, a little bit of elbow, or whatever it is that I'm showing, because I'm a little bit worried that maybe you won't like me. Maybe I don't like myself so much without my externals, and maybe you won't really like me so much without my externals. I'll tell you something very personal. I'll tell you something very, very personal. Not as extreme as what I'm describing. Before I got married, I was living in New York, and I was very connected to my hair. I have long, beautiful black hair, beautiful black locks of hair, beautiful and crimpy, and my hair was, I wouldn't say it was my signature. I was very attached by my hair, and everybody kind of knew about my beautiful, long, black, crimpy locks. So I remember once when I came to visit Chicago, and when I came to get engaged to my husband, I remember thinking to myself, oh great, they all know me now because they've seen my hair. It's a good thing they really know me, because they've seen my hair. Because once I get married and it's going to go undercover, they won't really know me. Right, this is what I'm thinking. But now that they've seen my hair, they know me. Okay. And then after I got married and I met people who hadn't seen me, right, pre-marriage, I'd say, oh, they don't really know me, They don't really know who I am because they haven't seen my locks. Right. But when you're... Now, that's not a bad thing, and having spoken to lots of new brides, I'm not the only one who thinks like that. There are many people who think like that because it's something that's been so much part of my exposed self, right? That I almost came to think that this external thing about me is like characterizing me. And it took a little bit of redefining. That's really not who you are. Oh, I know it's really not what I am. But no, it's really not who you are. It's not what's essential about you. So sometimes, again, this is a mild example of that, right? But sometimes we are worried that maybe you won't like me as much, or maybe you won't really know who I am, or maybe I feel like I don't have so much else to offer without this external thing that I just can't put under cover, right? And that's why sometimes people flash these external things. But what the Torah is telling us is that your relationships could be a lot deeper than that. Your relationships could really be touching on essential stuff. And the external thing which you're so nervous to drop a blanket over it is really not what's essential, is really, really not what's essential. Now, what I should have done to this woman who introduced herself of the chair of this in this department, I didn't do because I didn't know this trick. What I should have done is gone into the elevator, pressed the down button, gone down beneath street level, and said to her something which touches upon essence, like, oh, that's so interesting. Tell me, why did you decide to go into teaching? That touches on essence. That touches on who you really are. That's what I should have done. I didn't. I was very intimidated by her. I turned around and I left. But what I should have done is just connected to her on a level of essence. I didn't do it, but that's what I could have done. And that's a trick. When somebody flashes something external about themselves, that's what you could do. Get into the elevator, press the button, go down beneath street level, and connect to them on a level of essential. Doesn't mean you have to ask every bus driver, tell me, why did you decide to become a bus driver? No, don't do that, right? But if you learn to kind of be aware of, okay, they're flashing something external, great, get into the elevator, press the button, go down, and try to connect to them with something essential, our relationships might have the type of meaning that they are supposed to have. That having been said, so far today, I've tried to impress upon you that there is a lot at stake. That tzniut, the key which I hold in my pocket to bring Hashem down into earth, is a key that Hashem begs me to isha tznu'ah, please. Because if you misuse this key and if you throw it in the gutter, everything else is going to come crumbling and crashing down along with it. I want to show you how real this is. I'm going to take you to a prophecy which is the first page that was on your packet. The first page that was stapled onto your packet. I want to show you how much is at stake. The second source on what should be the first page in your packet is a pasuk from the book of Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu, who speaks after the destruction of the temple. Usually when we read the prophets, they address, the leaders, the other nations, the men. There's a fascinating prophecy addressed to the ladies, to the women, in the era of the prophet Yeshayahu, the prophet Isaiah. And here is part of the text of the prophecy. He's turning to the ladies who hold in their hands the key to the Holy Temple. Why? Why do they hold the key in their hands, the key to the Holy Temple? Because we said, Hashem will only dwell among us if there is concealment, if there is tzniut. If there's no tzniut, everything will come crashing and tumbling down. And you know what? Everything came crashing and tumbling down because the temple was destroyed. And Yeshayahu turns to the women. Doesn't do it often because it wasn't needed often, but it was needed here. And look at what he says. Yeshayahu, Vayomer Hashem, second source on the first packet. Vayomer Hashem, Ya'an ki gavhu benot Tzion. Ya'an is because the girls of Tzion, the Jewish girls, gavhu, literally, and we're going to go into each word, and I'm going to give you several interpretations of each word. Simply, they were arrogant, and we're going to go deeper into that. Telechna netuyot garon, the Jewish girls walked with their necks outstretched. We'll talk about that too. Umeshakrot enaim, they did something with their eyes. What they did, we'll learn about it soon. Meshakrot enaim. There's a couple of interpretations as to what they did with their eyes. Halach v'tafof telechna. And they did something with their walk. What they did with their walk, I'll show you soon. Uberaglehem ta'akasna. And they did something with their legs. I'll show you in a minute what they did with their legs. So the camera is on the Jewish women in the time of the destruction of the first temple. We basically took our key to let Hashem into the world and we threw it in the gutter. And everything came crashing down. And Hashem had to go back up to heaven, not where he wants to be. And the prophet is pointing his fingers at the girls. Let's take a look at what is going on here. The large paragraph is going to unravel for us what happened. Ya'an ki gavhu b'not Tzion. The Jewish girls walked with arrogance. Shahayu mehalchot bekomaz kufa. They walked, and their walk, the way that they walked with arrogance and with haughtiness, right? Their attitude was manifest in their walk. Remember when Hashem didn't want to create her from the head? Remember that? And we said, because maybe she'll be arrogant. So look at what happened. It wasn't about walking. You're allowed to have good posture. Good posture is good. Everybody sits straight. Good posture is very good and very healthy. This wasn't about posture. We're not supposed to be crooked shoulders. No. Everybody should have good posture. It's not a statement about posture. It's a statement about attitude. The attitude was one of arrogance. Keep with me. And they walked with their necks outstretched. And not only was the neck outstretched, it's like how you walk when you walk down the runway. So they would walk kacha, yeah, like this, and it was a walk that was a walk, right? They were not walking down any runway, but they were trying to attract the wrong kind of attention. Says the Mitzudat David something extra. Netuyot garon notot begaron elach ve'elach laharot yofyan. Netuyot garon, they would kind of move their neck this way and that way to make sure that the people on the east side of the street would see them and the people on the west side of the street. Umeshakrot enaim. What did they do with their eyes? So lots of different interpretations. They would wear very, very heavy eye makeup. Very thick, gaudy eye makeup. Metzudat David says, Meshakot enaim romzot im einehem, like this. It's a flirtatious kind of wink, right? It's a winking, but it's flirtatious. So what's the big deal? So a little bit of go. Halach v'tafof. Halach v'tafof. Shahayu mehalchot aruka betzat ktsara. The tall girls would always choose short girls to walk next to. Why? Aruka, or even worse, says Rashi, aruka mehalechet bein shtei ktsarot. A tall girl, Sarah, would say, hey, Rivka, Rachel, what? Come, walk next to me. We're going to buy milk. Why do you need us? Hey, just come. Because she looks taller, she stands out more. Anything to stand out. Anything to, when you're just walking solo, okay, very nice. But when you're walking solo and you're one head above everybody else, it gets a couple of heads turning. Very good. That's exactly what she wanted. So, what does it have to do with the word haloch v'tafof? She looked like she was floating. And the word tafaf comes from the word floating. She looked like she was floating above the other girls. So this kind of, being tall as opposed to the other girls is a kind of, in other words, anything to attract attention. I want to walk down the street and I want to make sure I got everybody's eyeballs popping out of their sockets. Now, they wouldn't say this, obviously, but this is the attitude which was going on in their hearts. That's a problem. It's a problem because it's not essential. Remember, we have no problem with externals. But if this is your attitude, and this is your and this is what you're doing on a day in, day out basis, you're taking the key and you're throwing it in the gutter. And then what's the point? What's the point of heaven and earth? There's a lot at stake. Yonatan Targum Yonatan has another opinion. שהיו קושרות פאות נוחיות כליות שערות תלושים כורחות עם כליותיהן שיראו גסות ותופפות. In simple English, they would take these extensions, hair extensions, and they would either make like puffy headpieces from it, or they would make braids and they would attach it to their own hair, so their hair would look gasot v'tofefot, poofy and kind of gus, like crude. They would do things which would make their hair be extra puffy and extra attention attracting. Uberaglehem te'akasna. Next piece of the pasuk. What did they do with their feet? Amar Rabbi Yitzhak, Devei Rabbi Ami, melamed shemetilot mor ve'afarsimon bena'alehem. What did they do with their feet? Ready for this one? This is ingenious. They would hollow out the heel of their shoe. They would fill it with mor ve'afarsimon, perfume, potpourri, okay? Good fragrant smelling things. Umehalchot b'shukei Yerushalayim, and they would go walk in the marketplaces of Jerusalem. V'kevan shemigyot etzel bachurei Israel, and when some cute Jewish guys would be walking down the street, ba'atot bekarka, they would kick their shoes extra. Umetizot alehem, and the smell of the perfume would suddenly be spread. Umachnisot behem yetzer hara, and this would arouse the yetzer hara in these Jewish boys who would be walking down the street. Did you smell it? No. Okay, so it was another way of getting attention, but it was all done in a very backhanded way by hollowing out the heel of their shoe. Now, if it was done so secretly, how do we know about it? Well, because it's God Himself, right, who's writing this prophecy, and Hashem knows what it is that we are doing. Radak says they were also doing something else. Mekashkeshot haraglaim ba'achasim. They would wear anklets around their feet with like charms and jewels that would jingle and jangle, and all kinds of little bells. Umashmeim kol. So when they would walk down the street, their anklets would make noise, and everybody would know that they're about to come down the street. Please, everybody, move your heads in time to see me. Mitzudat David says it was a little bit different with the feet. Ta'akasna, she overet etzel bachurei Israel, when she would walk down and she saw a couple of bachurei Israel, Jewish boys walking down the street, doreset b'minala sheberagla, she would make extra loud noise with her shoes. You know, some shoes, they have like rubber and you sound like you don't sound so, but if you have like really clicky heels or clicky shoes that make a lot of noise, so there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to have shoes which make noise, no problem. But when they would see Jewish boys walking down the street, they would like click their feet extra loud. They would walk with an extra click in their feet. אם עושים דברים המסלקים את השכינה, יש להתפלל שהיא אכן הסתלקה. If the Jewish girls were doing such things which cause Hashem's presence to go away, is it such a surprise that Hashem's presence went away? Now you would think the destruction of the temple, you're telling me girls with heels clicking their feet and perfume, big deal? Heavy eye makeup, a little bit of winking, a little bit of poking, big deal! Big deal! Don't you remember day number 1 of creation? I wanted to move out of heaven and into earth. This is what it comes down to. What? My wink and you're going back to heaven? Yeah! My wink and I'm going back to heaven. My little bit of and you're going back to heaven? Yes! I didn't know there was so much at stake. There's so much at stake. Please, teheh isha tznu'ah. Be a woman who defines yourself internally. You hold in your hands the key to my presence. Please, there's so much at stake. Please, I need you to do it. I need you to do it. What, the responsibility is all on my head? It's a big responsibility. I know, but you can do it. How do you know I can do it? I'm a little nervous. I don't think I can do it. You can do it. But I'm not so sure of myself. You can do it. The reason you can do it is because you are a member of Am Segula V'Goy Kadosh. You are a member of Am Yisrael. You are a member of Am Kadosh. I'm holy? What's that Am Kadosh? You're a member of Am Kadosh. There are lots of different nations in the world. There are many nations in the world. And each nation has its purpose. Each nation has its tafkid. Each nation has its job that it has to do. Great. And that's why we are all here together. Each nation on the planet has a job. There's one nation which I'm giving a particular job. And that job is to be Goy Kadosh. Maza Kadosh? All right, now I got another one for you. First, I told you who is Baruch, and now I'm going to ask you what is Kadosh. So I wake up one bright morning, I tell my husband, husband, yes, wife, what do you have up your sleeve today? Today I'm going to be Kedosha. I'm going to be Kedosha. Okay, what does it mean for me? Do I have to go to Jewel 3 times? What do I have to do? Just tell me what. You have to do nothing. I am going to be Kedosha. How do you be Kedosha? I tell my husband, today I'm going to be Kadosh. I take a piece of paper, I write Kadosh. Hi, I'm Kadosh. What does it mean to be Kadosh? We are part of a nation whose job it is, whose role it is to be Goy Kadosh. It's not everybody's job. That's why we have 70 nations. It's not everybody's job to be Kadosh. Now I know if you look at the Hebrew English, it means holy. Doesn't mean holy. Holy, I already told you, holy, making holes, right? This is not holy. What does it mean, Kadosh? Let's see. Maybe if I give a big check to charity, it's a Kadosh thing to do. No, it's a generous thing to do. It's very generous. Kadosh is something else. Okay? I'll say a lot of Tehillim. That's good. It's very important. Right? But that's Tefillah. It's not Kadosh. Hashem says in the beginning of Parshat Kedoshim, Daber el kol adat bnei Yisrael, and tell them, Kedoshim tihiyu. Be Kadosh, please. How come just us? Not nobody else, just you. This is your job. Ki kadosh ani. I am kadosh, and so you also have to be kadosh. What is kadosh? I'd like to use Rashi's definition of kadosh. Kadosh in source number 11, kedoshim tihiyu, heyu prushim min ha'arayot. Separate yourselves from things which are immoral. Separate yourself from things which are immoral. Separate yourself from that. Separate yourself from things which are immoral. Specifically, umin ha'avera, generally, but specifically, separate yourself from anything that smells, that smacks of immorality. Stay away from it. That's your special job. Shekol makom shta motze geder erva, ta motze geder kedusha. Says Rashi, when I looked through the Torah, I saw that anywhere the Torah spoke about immorality, right away it uses the word kedusha. Says Rashi, I know that kadosh means separating yourself from anything that smacks of immorality, indecent exposure. That is kadosh. And because we are part of this nation whose holy job it is to be kadosh, we have it in ourselves. We have the power to be this isha tznu'ah. How to do it? What are the requirements? That's next week. If someone were to ask you, all right, so when all is said and done, and I ask God, I have a little personal private interview with God. God, what is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of life? Hashem himself tells us in source number 9. And it's everything that we spoke about today. Higid lecha adam, ma tov. What's the good thing I should do in life? Huh? Ma tov. Ma tov. What is the good thing that I should do with my life? Ma tov. Yeah? What should I do with my life? Ma tov. What's the good thing to do in life? Ma Hashem doresh mimcha. What does Hashem want from me already? What do you want from me already? Ma Hashem doresh mimcha. What does Hashem want from you? What does Hashem ask of you? That's a big question. People spend 3 lifetimes and we don't figure it out yet. What's the big deal. Just got to look in source number 9. Ma tov, what's the good thing? What's the good thing I got to do with my life? Ma Hashem dora, what does Hashem want from me already? Look at the bolded piece at the end of the pasuk. Hatznea lechet im Hashem Elokecha. Hatznea lechet im Hashem Elokecha. Walk modestly with Hashem. Hatznea, tzneah like tzniut. Hatznea, there's a lot of things we could do with this phrase, but we're going to just end succinctly like this. Hatznea lechet. Walk with tzniut, with God. Now this applies to men and women as well. Walk with tzniut. Walk with concealment. What is concealment? Focusing on those things which are essential, which are real, which are, like the Maharal says, things which are lofty, things which are important, things which are worthy of Hashem having His blessing bestowed upon them, things which are concealed. That's all I want. That's all I wanted since the first day of creation, moving out of heaven and into earth. And I hope that with the knowledge of that we have this key in our hands to open up the gates of heaven and to bring Hashem from out of heaven and into earth, that we will feel empowered as women, knowing what Hashem's special mission and special task for us is.